recipes and your gardening needs while sipping on Kentucky bourbon. You sit right back in your big red hat, we're taking rural back from the urban. Listen to the stories where Kentucky is proud, share the giggles with all of your friends. You all tuned in to Friends Creative.
And wave. Wave.
Hey y'all, welcome to episode 5, Breakfast Chat with Charlie and Joyce from Friends Drift In. How y'all doing this morning?
Well, I'm tired. It's been a long day for us today.
It's been a long day and a long week, and you see we're not dressed up. I don't have my makeup on. We've had ice storms here in Kentucky's Appalachia, and so we didn't have power for a while, able to film and come to you and make sure we were going to get this program on. But today we're going to talk to you a little bit about the differences between canning commercially and
Canning at home.
Canning at home. And plus we're going to kind of talk about just some cleanliness issues that you might want to think about as you are canning, whether you are home or
In the
canning
commercial
commercially.
kitchen. Yeah, we are actually filming from the commercial kitchen here at Kane today, here in Whitesburg. This is where we make our jams and jellies. And you know, we've got a few different shots of some things that we've been doing and some of the ways that we do it differently in a commercial kitchen in order to make sure we get a good, safe product out there to everyone.
Right. So some of the normal things that all canners should do that we do in the commercial kitchen. First off, hygiene, hygiene, hygiene. When we come into the kitchen, the first thing we do is we sanitize all the surfaces. Now, something that you don't think about as a home canner, if I go in, I pull my canner out, or I pull out my any of my equipment that I'm going to use for my home canning, Betty, I just slap that on the table and I'm ready to go. But that's not the case here at the commercial kitchen.
What we do at the commercial kitchen is we go to it. We got the 3-bay sink, which, by the way, if you ever have an opportunity to get one of those, are the greatest things for doing dishes and things ever. But we actually rewash all of our stuff. We start them off in a hot, soapy water bath. And we put them into a clean rinse water. And we put them into a rinse water with some sanitizer on it so that we make sure that everything is clean and safe.
So that means even the stuff that is clean on the shelves here, we go on and we wash that down again. That's just part of the sanitation that we use. Now, when we're ready to produce, of course, we wash our hands. We have a hand washing sink here that is nothing but hand washing. Y'all need to wash your hands and wash your hands frequently. You know, if you've opened up a package and you're getting ready to use it, wash your hands again. It's not that big a deal, and especially in this day and age with so many viruses and all the whatnots going around, hygiene is really important. Something you might not think about. I know as a home canner, I'm not as crazy as I am when I'm really meticulous when I'm here in the Kane kitchen. And if you go to the bathroom, you wash your hands in the bathroom. Then if you come out, you wash your hands again at the wash station. If you're going to the restroom, you remove your apron. Put it back on after you've washed your hands. And that's kind of I know that's a little picky, but it's a big difference when you're trying to eliminate as much contamination as possible. Now, we bring in most of our product, we use what we call Kentucky Proud products. It's products from Kentucky. Now, we like to do as much as we can with Appalachia Proud, which takes in the easternmost part of Kentucky. But if we can't get it in Appalachia, we will source to Kentucky. And today we were working on apple butter for a client. And when we do apple butter, how do we take care of those apples, Charlie?
Well, we have another 3-bay sink here at the kitchen. It is nothing but a produce sink. So all you do is wash produce, not allowed to do dishes in it, not allowed to do anything else in it. So it's nothing but produce, and we do the same thing with our produce. We put them in a warm, soapy water bath, not hot, but a warm, soapy water bath. Put them into a rinse water, and then run them through a sanitizer. We wash them 3 times. That maybe takes off any wax that anybody would have put on them to make them look prettier, any insecticides, any kind of debris, and everything gets filtered out. And that also gives you a chance to examine your produce by eye 3 different times.
So you're looking at it and making sure, if there's anything that's got a blemish or doesn't look good, toss it. Toss it, toss it, toss it.
Did get down to 21 pounds. It's there. 2.
That's fine. Close enough.
Close enough.
Washing the apples, we put them into a wash first. We've got soap in it to wash it. And then we'll transfer them into a rinse. And then we'll drop them over into the sanitizing on the end. So that these are safe to go into the cooker to be cooked down into making our apple sauce that we use to make apple butter with. The nice thing about doing this is we have a 3-bay sink that is prep only for produce. So you know that you're not being contaminated with anything else. These are apples that are grown. We got these out of Virginia, so they're Appalachian apples that we're making our own apple butter with. And we're just trying to get it done today here in the wintertime, trying to fight the ice storm today.
One of the things that we don't do in the commercial kitchen that I do at home is when I'm home canning, that means I'm probably running a batch of 8 jars at a time, 12 jars at a time, depending on how big of a cannery you have. When you're home canning, one of the neatest tricks is to take a baking dish, a baking tray, and go on and line that with newspaper or newsprint. And as you fill your jars, when you're getting ready to fill, that newsprint kind of catches the debris and helps keep it clean as you're working through the kitchen. Because I don't know how it is in your home kitchen, but in my home kitchen, I always make a big mess all over everything. So having that newspaper lining the baking sheet when I'm filling really makes a huge difference for cleanup. Now here we don't do that as much, but some of the cleanup tricks that we do, we have a steam kettle.
Yes, we have 2 40-gallon steam kettles, which means they're surrounded on 3 sides by steam, which gives you an even heat all the way around. So what we do when we get done, we get done with apple butter or one of our jams and jellies. We take that pot and we fill it almost completely up with water, because it's going to get hot because of the residual heat in the steam kettle. And we close the lid on it, walk away from it for 30-40 minutes, and all that steam loosens everything up on the side, so you can come in with a rag and wash them down. We use what we call them scrubbies.
Scrubbies to wash them down, and then we sanitize them again after that. We laugh a lot. We talk about our friends drift in jams, with the gourmet jams, and we laugh that we produce in the shadow of Pine Mountain here in Whitesburg, which is Letcher County. We're almost on the Virginia border where we are now. We're on the Kentucky-Virginia border. But one of the things about being in the mountains and being in Whitesburg is altitude. So home canning, you look at your ball book and it'll tell you, how long to process. It doesn't really tell you what your temperature has to be, but it'll say, bring to a boil and process for this time. Well, we have to adjust that. So we have to bring it up to a boil a little longer. I don't say the temperature. Our temperature is a little bit lower. We're allowed by the state to do a little bit lower boiling point because we can't get a boiling point here in the mountains.
Water boils at at higher altitude. It takes less, and it won't get as hot as it does anywhere else because of the altitude.
So we have to we have to adjust for that. And when I first moved down here, I've been in Appalachia for 30 years, but I did not know. And when I was canning at home, I never adjusted for the altitude. I just didn't think about it. It never occurred to me. I knew my pressure canner I had a little bit of trouble with sometimes and now looking back, I know it was altitude. But, and also sometimes when I baked, I thought, it seemed like I had to bake a little bit longer than everybody else. But you need to check, as a home canner or a commercial canner, you need to know how high you are and make your adjustments.
And there's charts out there that'll tell you what the boiling point of water is at each altitude and how long you have to process and make up for that.
So we've got some cuts, so I hope that this is going pretty smooth. The way that we cut it in is a little bit on the fly today. But let's talk about what we had to go through to become what they call a better processor.
Well, better processing, you have to take a 3-day class. You actually go somewhere and you spend 3 days in a classroom pass a bunch of tests in order to be a better processor, canner, and and then you have to have your kitchen inspected by a federal inspector.
Right. So what a better processor means, rather than being cottage industry, when you're a better processor, we could sell on our website, FriendsDriftIn.com.
Which we do.
And we can sell at festivals.
Which we do.
when there's festivals
If
to
there
be
ever are
had,
anymore, right.
we can sell at trade shows. We can sell across state lines. It's a federal program for this better processing, so it goes across the United States.
The only restriction we have right now is maybe international sales, and you just have to look at each one of them and see what's available.
So when we start, let's say we're doing apple butter, Charlie, since that's
Okay.
what we did today. When we started the first time to make the apple butter commercially, after we got it finished and produced, it had to be produced here in the kitchen. It had to be produced in a commercial kitchen.
Yes.
Then, you get your jars cleaned up, get them sealed up, make sure they're all just the way they're supposed to be. You have to submit your recipe, and you have to submit your process. How did you do it? How long did you process this? Are you water bathing it? Are you doing what they call
hot fill and hold,
hot fill
right.
and hold, which is not recommended for home
processing.
canners. And I hear a lot of people complain about that. Well, my grandma did hot fill and cold. Well, my uncle did hot fill and hold.
But the differences are, here we have commercial equipment. We have a steam kettle that will get it at a very high and hold it at a very high heat. And there are temperature restrictions, like we have to have it, we can't fall below a certain temperature during the filling process. You have to dump the whole batch and reprocess it again. And plus, you have to know the pH and the temperature. You have to check those, and you have to record those every time you do one.
So what we do is, we have our own rhythm. Everybody has
Yes.
their process, but like every 15 minutes when we're filling, we retake the temperature in the kettle, the steam kettle. It's what we use is a 40-gallon steam kettle that's water clad. And so when we do that, we take that every 10 to 15 minutes and make sure that it's holding. The bottom number is 180. We don't want it to be 180. We like it to be right at least 200.
Yeah, we know we very seldom go over 190.
Right.
Under 190. I'm
Under
sorry.
190. We just are because we want our product to be safe. So we always try to maintain at least 200, and I mean a lot of times it's above 200, but 200 is our hallmark for us. We've got a thermometer, digital thermometer that we use to do that. Crazy things that happen. I think that would be good for anybody that's thinking about doing a commercial processing. Besides getting all your certifications, sending in your recipes, getting them certified, making sure that everything is tested, the proper pHs, no bacteria, no water activity, all the things that the federals, what does he call himself?
The process authority
The process authority.
Each state has their own process authority.
And our process authority is Dr. Paul, and we love him. He's very easy to work
very
with.
good.
But some of the crazy things that have happened to us. So the first time we were producing jam, you're in with this 40-gallon steam kettle, and of course we're used to doing, 8 jars at a time, just like you all. And we got the steam kettle, everything in there, all the ingredients. But there's a valve at the bottom that lets the steam, the jam, the residual, when you're ready to clean, there's a valve you open and you let it drain out. Well, we didn't get that on there tight. So the first time we made jam, we probably lost about half of what we were producing in that batch because it just poured out the end.
And something that you can do that we do also, you make a list. You make basically it's your process list, and it's what you do every time. Like first thing we sanitize, we clean, then we clean our produce, then we move on to the cooking process.
And we wear hats, and we wear masks, and we wear
beard nets, hair nets.
We're very careful. Now, with gloves, I'm sure that most home canners don't use gloves. I know I don't unless I'm working with peppers. But, we glove up. Anytime produce is cut, if it's open, then we've got gloves on, and if we're working with the canning process itself, where we're filling the product into the jars, those gloves are on. And we frequently change those gloves. We don't like the jars to get sticky because Mama has to clean them up and she complains a lot. So we don't like the jars to get sticky. So we change our gloves a lot. And we also change our gloves a lot because as our Pike County, we're in Letcher County, but our Pike County Health Department food mentor always tells us, he says, I don't want to see no glove juice. So you know how your hands get sweaty and you get the ooh in your gloves? You don't want that either. It's just not, it doesn't feel good and it's not healthy. So, you know, take those gloves off when you're doing your commercial canning. Take the gloves and shuck them every 10 or 15 minutes.
And remember, they are disposable gloves. They're meant to be one time and throw them away.
Yeah, you don't take them off and go wash dishes and come back and put them on. You know, throw them out. Get done with them.
And one secret, make sure your hands are dry before you try to put those gloves on, because it's a
hard.
wrestling match you can't win.
In our pantry area, in addition to regular shelving, we also have several stand-up refrigerator units. These are our easy access. These are more used for the catering part of the kitchen than for what we do with the jams. But let's take a look inside. So what you see is what the catering people use. And one of the differences between what most homemakers would do and what people that are in the commercial business do, these are labeled. These says half runners, that's our beans, and they have the date on them, 2/11/20. That's the date that they put them in here. And that way we can keep track of the freshness of what they're doing, know when to purge things, make sure that they're shelf stable, and certainly that they're going to keep the clients here that eat at the kitchen as the catering business are well taken care of.
I can't think of anything else that's kind of crazy in the commercial kitchen that's really different. We've done some cutaways where we looked at the refrigerator and keeping the temperatures. And you know, that's something that's really important for you all, is your home refrigerators. Make sure that they're registering what you are supposed to have. Is it 40 degrees, Charlie?
I think so. I think it's below 40.
Below 40. I think if they're here at the kitchen, they're 36 usually. So, you know, if you have any doubts about your refrigerator, if you got an older refrigerator, whatever, I mean, having that second thermometer just gives you peace of mind. They make
small ones, just like the little oven thermometers, not very expensive. Or we'll put a link in there where you can get one, where that you can put one inside. It's wireless, and it's got a little alarm on the outside. If your freezer or your refrigerator gets below the temperature, it will send you an alarm and let you know it.
What else? pH meters. We talk about pH when we're here. That's very important to us, and we have to take the pH. That's the measure of acidity. We have to take it as a raw product. Mm-hmm. Then we take it when it's combined.
When all ingredients are added.
And then we take
24 hours later.
24 hours later, we take another one and make sure that it falls within the parameters of the pH for that particular product.
Well, pH in general, anything that's low acid or high acid. We don't do any low acid, but anything that is high acid has to be, by federal law, 4.8 or less. But now,
here in Kentucky,
us and our process authority agree that we want it to be 4 or less.
4 or less is what we shoot for.
We're below what the government will allow us to do. But then again, that also gives you wiggle room if something comes up that, hey, I got one that's 3.9. Well, you know, that's fine. You know,
that's fine.
But you know, we're looking at 4 point or lower, again, 4.6 or 4. I think it's 4.8.
Now, as a home canner, one of the best resources besides getting yourself a Ball Blue book is the I don't know what the exact link is, but it's the National Canning. It's out of, I think it's the University of Georgia hosted.
We'll try to put something on.
We'll try to find a link and drop a link for you. Yeah. But they tell you things like, all right, so I've made my jam. How long is it good for? How long is our jam good for, Charlie? What does the USDA tell us?
says it's up to 18 months.
18 months from the day we produce it to the best buy.
Best buy date. That doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, but But it does start, but that's what we put on as the shelf life for
as the
ours.
best buy, you know. So, and you know, y'all can have different interpretations of how you assume, you know, your dates, but that's what the USDA tells us, best buy. So anything that is outdated, of course, we pull that.
That's what our family gets to eat.
It's just like in the garden when you've got one of those cucumbers that
Yep.
may have had a little bite out of it. And we don't sell that, and we don't use it in our produce, but as Jake, our nephew, likes to say, he says that's what the farmers eat.
That's right. What's not sellable that's still good enough to eat, you eat, and, you know.
You just move
That's the way it
on.
is.
Any challenges that are special to Appalachia? I think one of the things that we have a challenge with here at the kitchen, and just because of our location, we're kind of out in the middle of the boonies. So when we're trucking things out, you know, or we're trucking things in, you know, we have to pay a lot of shipping charges. We are very blessed.
We are.
We live in a very small town. We don't have for our jars.
We have our own loading
We
dock.
don't have a loading dock, but one of our commercial neighbors, I
Yes.
won't say who, but one of our commercial neighbors across the street from us, very near us, allows us to use their loading dock to get anything that we have to be loaded on.
And their
we thank
forklift.
you.
And
their
their forklift.
forklift. And that is such a blessing to us, and we are thankful that we live in a small town where people still care about each
Yeah,
other.
and we do some commercial sales. We ship several pallets a year, not a lot, but a few pallets every year. And we have to have commercial pickup here, and that's always a challenge because we're a little bit out of the way, and a lot of these truck drivers don't want to go out of their way to make a pickup. So that's
And it's
interesting.
not that we're really out of the way. When you look at the central United States, we're at a really good spot. It's because that we're in the mountains that there's not a lot of trucking routes up here for doing what we're doing.
Right.
But we get it done, and we've been blessed. This is our third year, going on our third year,
Going
I
on our
guess,
third
doing
year, yeah.
doing commercially. We did not say that what Kane stood for. So when Kane was getting started, we're in actually the old Whitesburg
High School kitchen, and this is actually the dining room. One quick story: if you saw it, you don't know if you noticed or not. We're in a circular room. Well, this circular room is the library. We're above the library. We're in the dining room, and in the back is a square point, and there's two little points sticking up. You look at it from above, it looks like the Starship Enterprise because the architect was a Trekkie.
We go where no man has gone
right.
before. So we're really fortunate to be here at Letcher County. I didn't say what Kane stood for. Kane, when they were getting ready and raising their funds, we're very blessed that Mountain Comp was the sponsor of getting this going. But the Kentucky Department of Agriculture, the Kentucky Governor's
Ag Policy.
Ag Policy Board, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Grow Appalachia,
A lot of people were involved in helping get this
Community
on
Farm
off the ground.
Alliance, a lot of the organizations came together, and I don't know what Appalachian Impact Fund, I believe, Laura Smith, hey Laura. Anyway, when they were coming together to do this, and they said, now how are we going to do our fundraising? And they called this CANE, which stands for Community Agriculture and Nutrition Enterprises. Here, not only do they do the commercial projects like what we do, but they also do a lot of catering. Before COVID, this place was a party place. I mean, there was always parties
Yep.
coming in and out. There's also special feeding programs for while school was out,
Yep.
and during the summer, some of the summer feedings, that type of thing. So Community Agriculture Nutritional Enterprises. And when we were doing the fundraising and doing our advocacy, we said we were raising cane. And I thought that was so clever. So we're going to close out our talking portion, and we may be dropping some things in behind this. You know, we're just going to have to see, because like I said, we're doing this one on the fly a little bit. But subscribe,
Like,
order some gourmet,
gourmet jam, yes.
friendsdriftInjam.com, friendsdriftIn.com,
and put in the comments if there's something you
If
want us
you-
to talk about.
or would like to see, because we're really eager to get this channel up and running. This is episode 5. I'm Joyce from Friends Drift In,
I'm Charlie.
and we're signing out. Bye, y'all.